If there was one thing I could say that the TV show The Last of Us taught me, I would say the people we love and trust the most are the ones who can hurt us the most easily. I certainly know you agree with me on this, but anyways, we are talking about The Last of Us TV show. So the search for Tommy is still going on, and in the end, Tommy gets to see his brother, which is an emotional moment of reuniting, as well as we find Joel in a devastating state, and it gets all viewers wondering whether Joel was going to survive or he was going to die. In this video, I'll talk about The Last of Us TV show, the breakdown, some of the changes we didn't see coming. So stick with me and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It's heartbreaking to see how these two weak characters, fear of losing each other makes them act in different ways, almost causing them to split up. We are not saying Joel and Ellie, these two characters are weak, but the weak part of them causes them to split up. Well, they did not split up, but the fact that they all share their fear about losing each other makes it a bit emotional. Kim, the 6th episode of The Last of Us, feels like a big step forward for the series. We finally hear Joel and Ellie talk about how they feel about each other, which is a big story reveal. And in the coming episodes, we are going to see more of this. And Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey bring this emotional rise in the story to life. They give their best performances in the series so far, and maybe even the best performances of their careers. I can't agree more with this, and this is something that I have observed when watching from episode 1 to episode 6. Episode 6 of The Last of Us jumps ahead in time by 3 months, and this time jump is quite normal in the game as well as in the TV show. We've seen there's been about 3 months, 6 months, 7 years, and this is what we are already experiencing in The Last of Us TV show. The episode goes on where Joel points a gun at a couple and asks if they know where his brother Tommy could be. Joel tells Ellie to stay away, but she comes anyway. She found out that the path west of the river is full of dead people and something that could be much worse than infected. Joel usually believes them, but something isn't right. He grabs his chest and tries to get his breath back for a moment before going on. And this is what is being so far for Joel, where he gets this panic attack. And the panic attack is related to episode 1 where he lost Sarah, his daughter. And as a matter of fact, losing Tess alone makes it worse. The nightmares, the night sweats, and these panic attacks makes it difficult for Joel to breathe at some point. But he's a survivor. He's going to move on, and we hope that Ellie doesn't see this weak side of him. Like we've seen in all seasons, Joel and Ellie walk across the landscape, stopping to build a fire and talk about what will happen between them in the future. They also talk about some, including how Ellie uses her blood to try to save him. And Joel is just surprised by this act, not because of the goodwill, but the mere fact that Ellie could think about something like this. So these two people eventually get to the dam, and known as the River of Death, where a group of men on horses surround them. With guns drawn, they force Joel to drop his gun and tell Ellie to step back. The leader uses a dog trained to find infection to check on both of them. But amazingly, the dog doesn't pick up anything from Ellie. It was a moment where Joel knew that Ellie was going to be torn apart by this dog. Joel knew that this dog is well trained, and as a matter of fact, was definitely going to point at Ellie being infected. But lo and behold, Joel doesn't even understand how Ellie's immune system works. And with Ellie's immune system, she has this fungus in her that actually fights the infection from wherever she gets it and makes her immune. It's quite complicated, but scientifically, it can be simple, At the University of Eastern Colorado, a group of men attacked Joel and Ellie at the end of The Last of Us episode. The episode doesn't say who or where these men are coming from, but if you've played The Last of Us video game, you can get a great idea, and a good idea of what their role will be going to be, or how their role is going to play in The Last of Us TV show. The men are actually cannibals who are led by a man named David, who can be seen in the official trailer of The Last of Us. So for those who play the video game, you will get to see that David loved to eat human. I I don't know why he chose that, but that is a character, that is the role that David was playing, and he normally gets guys to pick up human beings so that they could cook them and eat. I mean, such disgusting. So in the first game, Ellie meets David and James, who is David's second in command. And in the HBO show The Last of Us, Troy Baker, who played Joel in the first game, plays James. David tells Ellie that a man and a young girl attacked and killed his men at the University of Eastern Colorado before they took Ellie. David tells Ellie that his group is made up of cannibals and asks her to join them. When she says no, he tries to kill her. Joel goes to save Ellie, but when he gets there, David is already dead. Ellie soaks in Joel's arm, and this is the first time Joel knows for sure that Ellie is his daughter-in-law. And for you to say this, you can clearly tell that Joel and Ellie's bond is going to get bigger. And in the Last of Us video game, this was very clear. And that was the point that Ellie had to make a choice. And by doing that, he had to fight David and his crew members. But in the TV show, there's been a slight change, but we believe that it's still going to take up its story and not deviate from the original adaptation. I mean, of course, there were so many differences between the game and the TV show that we could talk about. But for now, we're going to drop it and continue with the review. And at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you my personal opinion and personal experience after playing the video game and watching the TV show as well. So when they find out that Joel and Lee want to meet Tommy, they are led to a settlement where many people are working. One of them is Tommy, who just left to go to work on the building. And that was when Joel had to, call his brother, Tommy. And it was an emotional moment. He knew that the time has come for him to meet his brother and for his brother to continue the mission, but it didn't turn out that way. So Ellie gets very angry right away, hitting anyone who looks at her and demanding that her gun be given back to her. And that was when they arrive in Wyoming finding Tommy. She also tells Joel to tell Tommy, who is now married to a woman named Maria. I mean, for the Maria side of the Last of Us game, I don't want to even talk about it. People might think I'm being racist, but no. In the game, she was white, but in the TV show, she's black. I mean, I love black women, I love white women, but the fact that they change the characters will make the show look a little bit different. With even the way Maria looked in the game as compared to the show is quite different. I don't know whether they could not find anybody to play that particular role, but anyways, the directors had to do whatever they had to do, and the show had to keep running. So the show goes on where Tommy tells Joel that she's now married to Maria, and they are both happy. She goes on to talk about how great communism is before Joel reminds her that his mission is to take Ellie to the Fireflies in exchange for a car battery so Tommy can see him. But now that we know more about the characters, the mission is not going to be as easy as it was. So Joel keeps asking Tommy for help to get Ellie to where she needs to go, but Tommy says no. She says that he and Maria are going to have a child and that he won't be moving on with him. It hurts Joel very much, and at the beginning of this video I told you already that the people we love and trust the most, you can refer back to that. So anyways, he agrees to leave him alone in the morning, but before that Joel says that Ellie is new, and that was the point that Joel had to explain to Tommy how he found Ellie, the purpose, transporting and what he's going to benefit at the end of this whole journey. So Maria tells Ellie a secret about Sarah, which obviously talked about how Joel lost her daughter. And Ellie and Joel had a long journey, had a long talk about their journey, what it means to lose someone, and they realized that maybe their trip could be over. But at the end of the day, a lot of things change. So in the morning, Joel decides to leave with one of the horses. He tells Ellie that she can stay with Tommy or come with him. She chooses to come with Joel. Before going to the university where the Fireflies are supposed to be holding up, Joel and Ellie did some target practice in the wilderness. And this was a point for Joel to actually practice, because in the earlier episode of The Last of Us, episode 6, we saw that Ellie was guarding, their perimeters when Joel was taking a nap. Joel murmuring and panicking in his sleep tells us a lot that he's in trouble, and the only person that can protect them at the moment is Ellie. And that is why that shooting and everything that Joel was trying to teach Ellie had to go on and was actually making a point. So unfortunately, when these two people, Joel and Ellie, get to the point where they had to make a detour, they come across 4 scavengers, and Joel and Ellie had to run away. I mean, they could have probably shot them from where they were, but you got to save some bullets, and that is how it works. It doesn't work like the game, but in the TV show, you have to save ammo. You need to protect yourself and be strong. So one of the hunters show up and tries to hit Joel with a bat, but unfortunately, he misses, and unfortunately again, the guy stabs Joel with the end of the bat. I mean, luckily none of the hunters had guns, so there's less fighting, but Joel is already hurt, and he hold his stomach so much pain, and you could tell that he was losing so much blood. As we watched the scene, there was so much blood oozing out from his tummy. But let's talk about The Last of Us. What really happened? So, does anyone else feel like this world is completely empty and without any danger? I mean, like the landscape short, but The Last of Us has this weird pattern where we listen to great music and spend like 15 to 20 minutes just looking at stretches and where there are no infected and other human beings. Like the place is just deserted and so cozy. I mean, we start to wonder where maybe the world could be completely empty and without danger in some parts. But anyways, we cannot compare TV shows or game to the reality. So the episode is also pretty boring, which is a shame for me, even though I understand that this is a story about people. But the fact that so much action and important scenes from the game have been cut out, I just wonder why they didn't really do justice to the source material. So in the game, there are lots of hunters at the university, and Joel and Ellie have to try to make their way through the dangerous always to get away. There are a lot of them, and it's really scary, exciting, and on the edge of your seat. You can tell that something crazy is going to happen. I mean, it's important, it's an important part of the game, because it leads to Joel getting hurt and the two characters barely making it out alive. I mean, what do you think? These are 4 hunters outside trying to find other human beings and feed on them, but in the end we see Joel bleeding bitterly, and we wonder if Joel was going to die or if Joel is actually dead. But to say this, Joel did not die. He's not going to die. It was up to Ellie to take this upon him to ensure that Joel was safe, for them to find shelter, food, and some supplies and medicine as well. The Last of Us episode says this time wasn't slow but very emotional, where we realize that Joel and Ellie shared their sentiments and the fear of losing each other. Joel finding his only brother Tommy realizing that he's about to have a child with Maria, and ends up ignoring his brother and had to stay at wherever he was staying. It tells us a lot, and in this life we have to care for the people we love. We have to show concern. In as much as things may come our way, we need to prove that we will be there for them. And this is what the episode teaches me so far. I mean, I don't know about you, so do drop your comments in the description. So this is what the episode teaches me so far. So do drop your comments in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video. We'll see you next in our next upload.